Hey, welcome to another podcast. I'm delighted to welcome back Neil Carter. For those of you who have subscribed and know my channel, you will know Neil from now 5 previous interviews. But the last time we spoke, Neil was not until, or not since June, believe it or not. So it is important, I think, and yeah, timely for a catch up. I'd like to ask you about a few things today, including some of the recent on and off world disclosures, what we can expect from ET contact, and certain revelations that you shared with me about the moon. We'll also talk about med beds and your new service role, which I'm sure the viewers and listeners will love to hear. So let's kick
Yeah.
off with well, first of all, welcome,
Thank you,
and
Glenn.
yeah, thanks for
Good to
coming
good to
back.
be back. After all,
Absolutely,
it's been a while, hasn't it?
it has been a while.
Yeah.
And as I
And
said, for anyone who's not familiar with Neil, Neil is an Andromedan starseed who um, chose to be born into human form, to have human incarnation. And if you'd like to know more about his background and story, please go to the first of these series of podcasts, and indeed, I think the second and third, where Neil will explain and does explain his coming out, as it were, his um,
yeah,
uh,
I was pretty nervous in some of those first early videos. I think, looking back,
yeah, well, you came
it
across
was
very
all
well.
it was all new to me, and
Yeah,
being on camera and talking on camera and whatever.
absolutely.
It's
And you
a
got a
new
lot
thing.
of good feedback, as you know.
Oh well,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
That's good.
Okay, well,
Excuse me.
let's kick off with a recent event. Apparently, a ship has landed in South Korea and allegedly shot down by someone, presumably the South Koreans. And
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
and so, what do you know about that? What can you tell us?
Yeah, not an awful lot to be honest, but somebody it came by email to me that somebody sort of got my attention to it, but it's something that's uh, been on the sort of grapevine at the moment, and there are a few congressmen in the US looking at trying to get a little bit more information on it and gain access to this object that apparently has landed, not landed, sorry, it was shot down in South Korea. Now, this is not a it's not a recent thing, but it's just something that's recently come to light because obviously there's been a lot of whistleblowers and witnesses that have come to light just recently over this disclosure subject about ETs and UFOs and things. So it's kind of come along the grapevine through that. So there's been a bit of a buzz about it, a bit of interest about it, and like I said, there's a few sort of high sort of high-end individuals that are trying to sort of get access to this
Mm.
thing to see what it actually is and what's going on over there. But apparently the South Koreans shot down this object that was hovering over a certain area. I'm not sure whether it was a palace or something like that, but the object was stationary in the sky. And it was huge, absolutely huge. And when we're talking sort of couple of football fields in size, 2, 3, 400 meters in diameter.
Wow.
A kind of saucer, traditional saucer shaped ship, and they used some kind of electronic laser weapon or scalar weapon to disable it, and it crashed there, all perfectly intact. And obviously, something that size, you can't just stick on the back of a low loader and cart it away. I mean, this thing is phenomenal.
Mm.
So what they've done is they've actually built a structure around it and encased it inside a building or some kind of structure. So they're trying to sort of work with the South Korean government to try and get some kind of access to it or get some more details on it. But yeah, it's apparently they couldn't do anything with it, and with it being so large, the only thing that they could do was encase it inside a building
Mm.
or inside this structure. So yeah, and then the whole sort of zone, the whole area around it is now fenced off, and you've got high security. You can't get anywhere near there. So
Right.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
And do you know whether any particular species is involved?
Um,
Who was actually
I haven't.
flying the ship? I mean, it's not possibly
No, I mean, like I said, I haven't really got any details, and it only came to light to me very
recently.
recently.
Yeah.
So I haven't really had any information or feedback on it from my end. It's not something I've kind of asked about just yet.
Okay.
But it'll be interesting to see if they gain access to it or any information comes out
Mm.
there. But yeah, it's
And whether there'll be an explanation of
I
how
don't
it
think it's the
came
only
to
one, to be
be
honest.
there. Yeah,
I
sure.
think that there are others that, and it's interesting that that this thing has been in the sky, static, and they've managed to shoot it down in that way. Just seems a bit suspicious to me that it's not the normal sort of thing that would happen with an extraterrestrial craft.
Mm. Mm.
I mean, they have means and ways of
Defending themselves.
defending themselves, and why would it just sit there and allow itself to be shot down? So, in my mind, it could be that it was deliberately allowed to be shot down, if that makes any
Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
Um, like there have been other instances where that's been allowed to happen, where they will purposely
Mm.
sacrifice a ship or even beings sometimes just in the name of disclosure,
Yeah.
allowing their presence to be acknowledged, and it's all part of that.
Mm.
So yeah, a little bit suspicious to me that, like I say, they wouldn't normally allow themselves to be shot down like that, just sitting there static.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, I remember people saying about the Roswell crash that that may well have been um, premeditated, that it wasn't
Yeah,
a genuine crash,
yeah, yeah,
that it was actually
yeah,
almost
yeah,
like a sacrifice so that um, the technology could be re-engineered and so on.
yeah,
But
yeah. A little bit
that's
of a,
just a
like a
theory.
Trojan horse, I think,
Yes.
Roswell, where they deliberately allowed the ships to be downed, and yeah, the ETs that owned those ships were the small greys.
Mm.
So I think that they were using that as an opportunity to make contact and gain access to certain individuals like Eisenhower, who was the president at the time,
Hmm.
and they were wanting to make contact to bring about these agreements with the government so that they could abduct human beings.
Mm.
Um, and I think Eisenhower at the time had another meeting with the Pleiadians and some other ETs, more, the benevolent sort of side of the ET contact, who warned them not to do that.
Mm.
And I think Eisenhower at the time followed their advice, and unfortunately, the group of individuals in the secret, the three-letter agencies
Yeah.
out there, decided to go behind his back and sign up to these agreements with these greys, and then there was an awful lot of abductions that took place
Mm.
during the sort of 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and right up into the 80s
Yeah.
and so on. And that was all down to these agreements that they made with these negative sort of grey ETs from Orion who were working alongside some of the reptilian Sikaar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was a bit of a Trojan horse that took place at Roswell
Right.
when the
Yeah.
earliest craft. Yeah,
Yeah. Thanks for that. I also wanted to ask you about Greenland because, a few weeks ago
yeah,
it was very sort of very, very newsworthy
yeah,
with a certain country and a certain president, according to the mainstream, trying to sort of take it over or buy it or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not familiar with the full story, but I wanted to ask you, is there, to your knowledge, some ET activity or technology there that might be of particular interest, but
Yeah, absolutely.
not
Yeah, there is.
actually
There's a
not actually mentioned in the mainstream?
yeah. Well, there is a large ET base beneath the ice sheet there in Greenland. So doesn't surprise me that they want to get a large footprint, a larger footprint in
Mm,
Greenland. I know they've already got a base there, a Space Force base there already,
right.
and there is also a one of these civilian contractor research centres there as well. It's like a base under contract for the US government, military or whatever, and they're doing sort of testing and research of different things there. Um, so yeah, I think it's all in that sort of mix
Mm,
that they want to grab a hold of Greenland.
okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think the Greenland population are quite used to seeing lights in the skies and ships, that kind of nature coming and going through the hills
Right.
and the mountains and things like that. It's quite a well known thing for them. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a large base beneath the ice sheet there, and another, again, large mothership type object
Mm,
that resides there.
mm,
And the Ashtar command visit there quite often.
right.
They come and go from there quite a bit. Um, so yeah,
So
that's
you think they're sort of after the technology there, or access to the
it's it,
technology?
it's possible. It's possible,
Yeah.
and maybe try and get access to this base. It's a possibility,
Mhm.
and try and keep other people away, maybe, and try and
Yeah.
you know gain access for themselves or to see what's going on, that kind of thing. But yeah, it
Y-
doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah. You've talked in the past about humanity preparing for ET contact, um, and how we, that is humanity as a whole, need to raise our vibration to prepare for contact. Um, Can you give us any update on that? Certain people have been saying that there will be contact in 2026. Obviously, that may or may not be true. We don't know yet. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there has been a little bit of a slight lull in the disclosure sort of
Mm,
side of things since last year, with all the sort of Congress meetings and the whistleblowers coming out and giving evidence and such like and what have you. But yeah, on the ET side, I think there's going to be a lot of contact this year. As far as I'm aware, the Galactic Federation are going to be initiating a kind of first contact type of program,
mm,
where a lot of it will be contacting individuals, but I would say probably predominantly sort of star seeds to start off with, just purely because they're probably on a similar sort of frequency.
yeah,
But yeah, this program is being initiated this year to contact people on an individual basis. So a lot of it will be through dream state, astral traveling state, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, and there will be sort of implanting or sort of contacting people through like very vivid dreams that have very sort of recurring themes and messages. So if you see beings on a recurring basis in these dreams and things like that, that's probably contact being made in that way through to you.
Mm.
There's been a lot of preparation these past few years, where people have been encouraged to go within now and raise their vibration and such like. But I think this year now we're going to see a lot of people being activated.
Mm.
The preparation has been done these past few years, but now we're going to see people actually being activated. There's a lot of
Do you mean DNA activation through the
well,
solar activity, or is it
not just
something more
DNA activated.
practical?
We're all going through that activation of the DNA being upgraded and such like, and the nervous system being upgraded, and that's been all part and parcel of this preparation.
Mm.
But I think now this year we're going to see people being prompted in a way that would lead to more physical, practical ways. How can I put it? They will be activated in a way that their particular skill sets will enhance this new way of looking at this reality.
Mm.
So, as starseeds and souls come into this reality, this particular moment in reality, we've all got particular skill sets that we come in with. So a lot of these star seeds have come in with particular skills, particular attributes and abilities, and they might not even know it just yet. But through this activation program, this first contact program that is going to roll out throughout this year, they're going to be activated with these skills. So into education, into finance, into health and well-being, and all these kinds of sort of areas of life.
Mm.
They're going to come forward with new ideas, new focused ideas, new ways of doing things that are going to change the way that things are done, and for the benefit of everybody, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to be sort of activated in that way and inspired through these dream states and connections that the ETs are going to make. So this is going to inspire them to be active rather than still in this preparation phase. We're now going to be activated into this role. So we're
Wow.
going to bring
Yeah.
about all these new ideas, these new ways of doing things, and be, actively doing it.
So it's like the ET contact is like a catalyst then for greater awareness of human potential, right? The
Yeah, yeah,
skills that we have, but we didn't know we have.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And now's the time because they're giving us the green light now. You see, the ET is giving us the green light. Now is the time to start changing and doing these things and putting into place, putting into practice all this high vibrational work that we've been preparing for. So yeah, it's it's an exciting sort of time of year, and we may well see a lot more disclosure coming this way.
Mm.
I know, as we've discussed, we've also got this new movie coming out from Steven Spielberg in June, where I've seen the trailer of it, and it's more along the lines of internal contact. Excuse me.
Right.
Which is what I've just been talking about. This contact will be more individualized and more internal for people, and more bespoke. But yeah, this movie that's coming out in June,
Disclosure Day.
Disclosure Day is what it's called. Yeah, which is really appropriate. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be any flying ships in it or anything like that. I think the crux of it is going to be disclosure, but it's going to be something that is more individualized. People are going to be um, contacted more on an individual basis.
Mm,
And I think that's the way that the movie will go, to be honest, looking at the
right.
sort of trailer and that.
Mm,
Yeah. But as you know, he did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and a few other movies and
yeah.
E.T. and all these kinds of things. So he's obviously got or had inside information from people who've
Yes.
been in contact with extraterrestrials. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that this has all been um, prepared and ready to come out
Mm,
this year, and especially with that title, Disclosure
yeah.
Day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
actually interesting that, some of the galactics are saying that the real disclosure is who we really are
that's
as
right. Yeah,
human beings. I mean, what do you
yeah,
say to that?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's where this movie will sit as well. Is awakening people up to the true reality of who they are.
Mm,
Like we've said this before, that the real disclosure is who human beings are and where they've come from and what their lineage is, what their
mm,
history is,
mm,
and who they're connected to. This is the real disclosure. I mean, it's beautiful that we've got extraterrestrials out there, and we're going to see ships physically arrive in, and we're going to see extraterrestrials, predominantly the humanesque ones who
yeah.
look pretty much like us, making their connection in the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the real disclosure. I mean, that's all beautiful, but the real disclosure is us. The human being.
Mm. Do you think it's important for us to know our true human history and the galactic history as well? Is this part of the disclosure, or does that?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's all quite important and part and parcel of this disclosure as well. Um, I think people want to know the truth. Because a lot of this reality that we're experiencing is built on lies, isn't it?
Yes.
Our history is built on lies. Our um, education is built on lies. Our food production is built on lies. Um, So yeah, a lot of this has got to come out. People
Mm,
need to know, they need to know the truth of what's
yeah.
been happening here,
Yeah.
and it's their right to do so. And even this UFO and extraterrestrial thing has been built on lies for an awful long time.
Yes.
So I think people have got the right to know the truth and the real history of what's been going on here. And I think all this will come out when the ETs make their contact here.
Mm,
A lot of this will be brought forward, and people will be allowed to see it all.
yeah.
And in 3D, in
Yes.
3D. So, um, but there'll be a lot of healing from this as well. I think knowing the past and what we've been through and what we've been lied about, etc., will be give a huge opportunity for a lot of healing to take place as well.
Mm,
Because I can imagine, when this comes out, that there'll be a lot of angry people, a lot of upset and shocked people.
mm,
Um, so I think it's a good opportunity once we do get to know the history of everything that's happened and what's gone before. We'll give people a bit of an opportunity to acknowledge it and heal from it and move on from it.
mm.
Yeah, I think it's quite important.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of lies and galactic history, I'd like to ask you about the moon.
Oh yeah, well there's another lie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I think we've been taught to believe that the moon is this planet adjoining Earth or satellite or whatever you want to call it, with a sort of a large rock,
yeah,
with
yeah,
a with
yeah,
a with a with a with a very rocky and cratered surface.
yeah, yeah.
But there's much more to it, isn't there?
Well, there you go. I mean, science again. A lot of that is built on lies. But yeah, the moon is not what people think it is, and
Go on.
I don't want to. I don't want to burst the bubble too much for a
Go
lot
on,
of
burst
people,
it.
because it is a beautiful thing to see in the sky.
Yes.
It has an etheric feeling to it, and it's kind of has a mystical feel to it for a lot of people and having that. But yeah, it's not what we think it is. And in all honesty, the moon is a ship.
Hmm.
It is a redundant and broken down extraterrestrial ship. And it was brought here about 12 and a half, between 12 and a half to 15,000 years ago. And it was used in a conflict not too far away from here. There was a planet between Mars and Jupiter called Tiamat. And it was a very watery planet, lots and lots of water on it. And in fact, it had so much water on it, it used to reflect the sun. And, there's a lot of theories that came about that this was a dual star planet, but that's where it came from. It was just purely because it reflected the sun's rays so much that it was so bright in the sky.
Right.
But yeah, Tiamat, there was a huge conflict that occurred there.
This is the planet that's sometimes called Maldek. Is that right?
Maldek is another word for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, so Maldek, Tiamat,
In
it's the
case
same
people
planet.
don't recognize P and
Yeah, it's the
TM.
same planet, yep. And there was a huge conflict there, which the Galactic Federation was involved with. And one of the ships that was used in the conflict was what we think is the moon now. It is a metal structure in a exterior is metal, or some kind of metal anyway. And it was built by the Acturians alongside some of the Andromedan engineers. And it was built in the Bootes Void. And it was used in this conflict, but unfortunately, the conflict didn't end very well. And Tiamat was pretty much destroyed with some really nasty ionizing nuclear weapons.
Hmm.
And the whole planet fractured into many large chunks and pieces. And some of
the
it
asteroid
came the
belt,
way.
right?
That's right, which is now a lot of it is the asteroid belt. And it affected Mars, obviously, which is neighbouring sort of planet. And you can still see the striations down the side of Mars where it ripped off some of the surface and some of the atmosphere, and some of those beings that were actually living on Mars at the time were destroyed. Some of them went underground. I believe some of the there was a reptilian race that lived on Mars called the Umit, and they went underground, and so they managed to survive. But there was an awful lot that didn't, and there was a lot of debris that came this way towards Earth, and a lot of water came this way. It didn't boil off like we think that water would normally do. Some of it went towards the sun, but space is not what we've been told also, which is what, like I say, there's a lot of lies in science. Space is not exactly how we think it is. It's not a complete vacuum. So a lot of water did come this way. And I think this is where some of the story of it rained for 40 days and 40 nights came from.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But it pretty much knocked Earth off its axis, and it created a huge wobble. And this is what happened to Tiamat with these explosions, these nuclear ionizing explosions. It kind of knocked Tiamat so much off its axis that it ripped itself apart. Excuse me. And during the conflict, unfortunately, this ship was quite violently damaged.
The moon. Yeah.
The moon, yeah,
Yeah.
the moon. Sorry, yeah, it was quite violently damaged. So they towed the moon into the position it is now to counteract the effect that this had had on the Earth, which had knocked the Earth off its kilter, basically off axis, and create this huge wobble, because they didn't want the Earth to be destroyed or get to the point where it was just going to destroy everything on the planet. So they put it in exactly the right position to create a counterbalance.
Mm.
So we still have this slight wobble now to the planet, but it's nothing near where it would have been, or the catastrophe that it would have caused, if it hadn't have been corrected. So this was towed into place by the Andromedans, and it creates this, like I said, this counterbalance now, just to stabilize the Earth. But yeah, inside the moon, it's a huge structure. 144 different levels inside.
Mm.
And
What's
yeah,
in there?
well, in the underneath the first level, it's mostly machinery that creates the sort of anti-gravity, or the gravity machines, so that inside there, it creates a local sort of gravity type environment. And there are also some hangar areas where
So
you
are there
can,
ships parked in there, or?
yeah, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, these hangars are huge. I mean, I'm not talking like an aircraft hangar. I mean, they're how can I mean, trying to describe that the size of these hangar areas is massive, and to get inside the moon into the hangar areas, the actual there's a crater that opens up, like it's like a camera shutter that snaps open and shuts like this,
Mm.
and that's how they gain access to the interior. So you can bring your ship inside. There's huge hangar areas, not just one. There's hundreds of hangar areas where you can park ships, and in the second level down from where the hangar areas are, there are officers, and there's a reception area, like they call it the lunar reception area, where there's lots of facilities where visiting ETs can take up residency and undertake meetings. The secret space program has had a contingent there, hundreds of people up there. So yeah, lots and lots of offices and meeting places and accommodation areas. And then below that, the third level,
So people are living there, right?
there were, I'm not sure if they still are now, there
Okay.
were people living there. I'm not sure.
What, humans from this planet, or
Humans from this
or
planet. The secret space program, they had
okay,
people up
yeah,
there.
right.
Um, and ETs, that some of the Acturians were there.
And was this
Um,
before the Apollo landing? Assuming it did land.
yeah. They
Yeah.
had
So
some of
yeah.
the.
So there was a man on the moon even before
Yeah.
Mr.
Oh, you're about the
Armstrong.
secret space program. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
I
do
think the
know a
secret
little bit about the secret
they were
space
after. I
program,
think. I
but
think the
go on.
secret
Yeah.
space program was after that, because there was a large contingent of negative ETs that were residing on the moon at the time.
Hmm.
So yeah, during the sort of lunar Apollo missions, and I think there was a contingent of the smaller greys there, Orion greys, and such, like some of the negative ones. But they've all been cleared out now. Like you say, all the ones that were on Earth and these ones on the moon, they've all been removed and cleared out of the system. So yeah, they've all gone. But certainly there was a contingent of secret space program up there, and some of the
Yeah.
more benevolent ETs. So yeah, and then down further into the lower levels from there. You had the Andromedan sort of biosphere areas where they created their own environments.
Mm.
So they had, parks and waterways, lakes and rivers and homes where they lived. They created their home environments in there. And there was about so many levels, I'm told, that they created like that. But that was purely for them.
Mm.
All the visitors were housed in the sort of second level down. Um, and then further,
Was there a protective element to that? I mean, why would the Andromedans want to be on the moon so close to the Earth? Was it
yeah, I mean,
for
well,
surveillance or for,
well,
you
no,
know?
it was a ship.
Oh,
It
I
was a
see.
ship that
Yeah.
they had built in the Booty's Void, so they used it as
That
a.
was their ship,
It was
basically.
their
Yeah.
ship, yeah. They were helped by the Acturians to construct it.
Mm.
What do you call it? Actuarian engineers and the Andromeda engineers co-created this ship,
Mhm.
and it's a size, a sort of shape that most extraterrestrials will use. It's a quite a common thing to create a spherical type ship like that,
Right.
just purely because it's the most convenient and practical ways to use a space.
Mm.
There's no up or down out there in the cosmos in space, so it doesn't really matter, uh,
Mm.
you know,
And
what
even
kind of
if
shape, but
people
it's.
think it's fanciful that something the size of the moon should be a ship, may I remind you of the last interview when Neil told us about the two gigantic ships outside the solar system,
Oh
bigger
yeah,
than
yeah. The Andromeda Council have.
bigger than
Oh
Jupiter. Is that right, Neil?
yes, yes, huge, huge. They have. They create these ships where there's millions upon millions of beings on board.
Mm.
So yeah, in comparison, the moon is quite small.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got it. Yeah,
and there are a lot of spacefaring extraterrestrials out there that don't really live on planets, so they have ships that are created in this way, and traverse through space and the universe that way. They don't need a planet. They create these ships in that way, and that's the way that they live.
yeah, and
And they don't have a
everything.
planet of their own. So
Mm.
yeah, but the Andromeda Council, they have some huge, huge ships. But
Mm.
the one that resides, because I know you mentioned the one that is parked behind the moon,
Yes, I was
it's
going to
called
ask you about
Viera.
that.
Yeah,
The
that's the
Vieira, yeah,
HQ of the Federation there, and but that's not spherical in shape. That's a wedge type shape.
okay,
But again, yeah, that's a another meeting place for a lot of extraterrestrials. It's the headquarters there, so yeah, they get a lot of visitors there, and
mm.
a lot of meetings take place there. Lots of different races of ETs and such like. Um,
Including meetings with Earth humans, right?
there have been humans there. Yeah, they don't stay there, but there have been
Yeah.
meetings there.
Mm.
There is a hub that has been built out in space, not far from Jupiter, and there's a lot of the space program personnel that frequent that area.
Right.
That
Yeah.
it's a large hub that has been built. Again, it attracts a lot of extraterrestrials. The secret space program are visiting there as well. So
Right.
yeah, but the moon's been used for lots of different things.
Well, I
Um,
was going to
and
ask you actually. I heard recently that there are med beds stored on the moon.
yeah, yeah,
You
like
know
I say,
about
in
that?
those hangars, there's a lot of storage facilities, and there was a lot of med beds that are stored there. Thousands upon thousands of med beds stored up
Which are
there.
for the Earth, or they're not going to stay
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
presumably.
they're
Yeah.
going to be rolled out eventually if
Yeah.
required. They may be required, they may not be required. We'll see how things go.
Mm.
But I think if they do get rolled out, it's just going to be a stepping stone, really.
Yeah.
It's not something that we are encouraged to sort of rely on. Excuse me.
Right.
But I think if needed, they will be a stepping stone. for us
Yeah.
to use in our medical sort of system, our healthcare, for a while anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, not only that, there was a lot of children and human beings that were abducted and taken away and used in sort of a lot of these very dark projects as well, and underground facilities that were experimented on and things like that. Hybrid children, a lot of hybrid children were taken to the moon at
Mm.
one point, especially when
Well,
they,
recovered
like,
from the underground bases.
yeah, they were all rescued and recovered from a lot of these programs, projects, and underground bases, taken to the moon and rescued from the clutches of a lot of these negative ETs that were here.
Mm.
Um, so, they were taken there initially just to be processed and rehomed, basically, and given a chance to carry on with their lives without
Yeah.
being, some of these really horrible things
And to heal,
done to them.
presumably, as
Yeah, to
well.
heal and
Yeah. Yeah.
and given a loving home with whoever
Mm.
they chose to go with. But there are a lot of these hybrid children back here on the planet now.
Okay.
So they are being kept
When you say
together in groups.
hybrid, you mean they are ET human hybrids, or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
got it.
You see, a lot of these abductions that took place during the early sort of, like say,
Produced offspring.
50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and such like, they were taken away. And unfortunately, a lot of them, well, there are an awful lot that we'll never see again.
Mm.
They were taken away, but the ones that were in these programs here and, were able to be rescued. Luckily, they've been allowed to be rehomed and continue with their lives, and
Mm.
they're going to play their part in this healing process of the planet as well. When it comes to light.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the moon's been used for several different sort of things. But it's hard to believe, when you look up in the sky that it's a
Yes. Yes.
it's a ship, but
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
placed in exactly that right spot that it creates this lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, I know.
so
Yes. Yeah.
it's no coincidence, no
Yeah.
coincidence. But
Yeah.
even mainstream science, they say now, oh well, we don't really understand how it's got to be there because it's too big to be a natural body.
Yes.
Um, and
Yes.
so they're scratching their heads about it. Really, they don't really understand how it's come to be there.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
bit of
Yeah.
an anomaly for them.
Yeah. Just going back to med beds, Neil, I understand, or you told me recently that you had some notes on med beds that you wanted to share with us.
I
Just
did,
for
yeah. I mean,
anyone, sorry,
I
Neil, just
I
to
just knocked
say,
them all on the floor as well.
oh,
Talking.
well, you're welcome to go pick them up. No one's going
Yeah,
to worry you.
I'll just pick them up.
Um, Now, just to for those listening, if you haven't heard of med beds before, these are medical beds, you could call them, med beds that are based on ET technology, that are ET technology, and that at some point, we're told, will be rolled out and available for healing on this planet. And when I spoke to Neil about this recently, he told me that he'd made some notes because there are different types of med bed, aren't there, Neil? Do you
There's
want
a
to
couple of different
share what you
types.
know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I make these notes, loaded information, or um, you know, received information from my team. What I've been, I'll scribble down notes and things and bits and pieces, just so
Right.
that it's
This is
sometimes I
from
can
your
go
team
back
back in,
and go back
yeah.
and have a look. Yeah, and uh, so I basically scribble lots of stuff. So I'm going to try. I'm going to try and. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it. I don't think we can
I'm go-
read it, but we can
I'm
see
going to
it.
try and reread my own notes.
Okay,
And it's not the best writing, and
do the best you can.
yeah. Some of it's a bit scrawly,
I mean,
not the best, but
just give us,
yeah,
the gist of it, if you like.
yeah.
You don't need to
And
read the whole thing.
this was written probably some years ago now.
Okay.
And like I say, when it only came to me that I'd written these notes down in my jotter when we were talking about it, and it just kind of sprung to my mind that I jotted these notes down at the time. And
Hmm.
like I said, it's probably about 3, 4 years ago or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, so I'll read you some of the notes that I've put down
Yeah,
about
do.
the actual functionality of these med beds. Um, so yeah, there is two different types. So just bear with me. um, so there's two pods, a wet pod system and a dry pod system. So the dry ones, these have a type of robotic arm attached to them, like a sort of what we call surgeon features. It also works by mapping the body and superimposing or overlapping on the damaged part of the body a gravity field generated or printed corrected tissue.
Hmm.
So it works in a sort of similar sort of way of you can imagine a sort of 3D printing machine.
Okay.
So it can create and generate any kind of substance or sort of matter with any, that kind of attributes. Um, so it can accurately map each molecule, making up for example, a liver tissue or um, of a sick person, and then it prints out the liver in place with no need for surgery or and so replaces the tissue with new healthy tissue. This is the basic basis of the dry pod. So it's kind of like reprinting whatever you'll need in the body, what's failing. So if you've got a failed liver or a failed heart or anything like that, it can literally recreate from that same, uh,
Blueprint
um, yeah, it maps the
from the
blueprint
original
of
blueprint.
from
Yeah,
the
which it
original, yeah.
reads. Yeah.
And whatever material it is, whether it be a heart, or a liver or anything like it can just recreate that and build that within situ. So the wet pods, um, these are, sorry, trying to read my writing here. Uh, the wet pods are better than the dry pods, as the dry ones can be a bit invasive, as the insertion of the replacement tissue is not perfect and can cause, in some people, some mild uh, degree of side effects, some mild discomfort, mainly from a kind of burns, kind of mild feeling,
Hmm.
or sensations in the affected area. Um, the wet pods work slower, but dry pods are mostly preferred as they produce as near perfect results as they can get. The process starts by first taking a cell from the patient. This can be taken from either a saliva sample or better if taken from a blood sample after the patient has been fasting for around 72 hours. This is because the fasting produces stem cells, and this is what they use. They
Hmm.
take the stem cells and reproduce them um, in a lab artificially in large quantities. As this is being done, the patient is placed inside the wet pod, and you don't have to wait sort of that 72 hours sort of fasting area. You can just be placed directly inside. The person enters a special liquid substance inside the pod. This liquid is the media for all the process to work. This liquid also provides oxygen for the person to breathe. This means that the patient will be breathing liquid throughout the entire process.
So the
Um,
patient is immersed in water. Is that what you're saying?
so you're
Or
actually
in this
immersed in
liquid?
this
Yeah.
liquid, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's a strange sort of process, but um, yeah, you kind of encouraged to take in this liquid and breathe it in, basically.
It's
Um,
interesting. I was watching something on Netflix recently. I can't remember the name of the program, but it actually depicted this was on a spaceship. It was, the usual
yeah,
thing, science fiction, but maybe portraying the reality where, the patient was actually underwater and
yeah,
was
yeah,
was able to breathe normally,
yeah,
completely immersed. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
sounds like that may have been a portrayal of a wet bed.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think what I'm saying, I think in the notes here, because this liquid is hyper enriched with oxygen,
Mm,
so you don't really need to take an awful lot in because it's so hyper rich in oxygen. The lungs really don't need to fully fill up with that liquid
okay.
to be able to breathe. It's a little bit of a shock to start off with, I think, but you kind of
Yeah.
get used to it. It's a little bit like being in the womb again.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's right.
So
'Cause
which
that's
is
liquid,
how
isn't it?
we originate, how we start off. We start off within the womb in this sack of fluid. So
Yeah.
it's a similar kind of scenario. So um, excuse me. Uh, so this may give the initial feeling of drowning in the liquid on purpose. It is not so bad once it is accomplished and gotten used to. It will seem alarming at first as you start drinking or breathing in the liquid. The body reacts as if it's drowning, but everyone breathes liquid for 9. Oh, well, there you go. Everyone breathes for at least 9 months as the body is in the womb.
Yeah.
There will be some remembrance of this. So at first, once inside, you breathe with difficulty because it's a liquid and not air, but it's not as bad as you think because being a liquid, it contains more oxygen per portion and expels more CO2. So you don't need to fill or contract your lungs as much with each intake. You are under the liquid consciously. I think that's what I've written there. I'm trying to read my writing.
Mm,
And eventually, in this state, you will fall asleep. So once you're in it, you kind of get used to it. It becomes all sort of like muscle memory,
yeah.
and then you kind of relax into it, and then you just generally fall asleep in it. Um,
All is well.
all of the above being put in the entering process, you can be very sorry. You can be very traumatic when you are conscious. So, right, I see what I'm writing here. So, um, what I'm saying is that because to some people, not everybody kind of likes the idea of that at first
Mm,
initial sort of way of being put in it and then breathing in the liquid. But there is a way that people can be put to sleep first
right.
and then put in.
So it's
Some
not,
people
yeah,
prefer it
such a
that
shock.
way. Yeah, it just depends on
Right.
what being wants to use it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. I
Some
get it.
may
Yeah.
want to undergo that or maybe all right with that. So yeah, the ones who do go in consciously, obviously, it's similar to literally drowning in the liquid initially, um, until they breathe the liquid,
But not drowning.
but not drowning.
Not
No,
literally
no,
drowning.
not
Yeah.
literally drowning, but you just get that
Just that
sensation.
sensation.
That
Yeah, yeah.
sensation, yeah. In the pod, obviously, you're going to be without any kind of clothing. And then you'll be suspended within the liquid without touching the sides using a gravity field. There's no tubes. The liquid and their frequencies take care of everything. Then, using the brain altering frequencies, the patient is placed asleep. So you're pretty much in a suspended animation. The liquid is filtered constantly and removes any unwanted particles the body might produce.
Mm,
And then using the same blood sample, the what do you call it? The quantum computer maps the DNA of the being and produces a 3D hyper-accurate computer model of the subject. And it's so precise, really precise, that you kind tell the difference.
Right.
And then a series of lenses inside the pod will start to superimpose onto the body of the being a super high resolution, high energy hologram of the complete model body. Predominantly it's predominantly generated by mapping the DNA of the patient. So it's a complete map of your DNA, basically, that the computer system does. The other part of the pod will start to inject artificially grown mother cells into the liquid. The gravity field inside the pod creates a zero interference media for the cells to move in. The pod itself is also protected from any other EMF or external gravity interference around it. So anything around it will not be allowed to interfere what's going on inside the pod while you're undergoing the process. Each mother cell will clump and take on the attributes of the hologram cells. The real mother cells will transform itself into what the hologram dictates it to be, according to the place or area it finds itself in. So any mother cell can and will become any other kind of cell in the patient's body, whether it be a brain, kidney, heart, etc., etc., etc. So it will completely remap it, regrow
rejuvenate
it.
and regenerate. Yeah.
Excuse me. And like I said, the liquid is constantly recirculated throughout the process, eliminating any residue that might build up in there at the time of regeneration. In the case of bodily organ failure, the stem cells will enter the body through any bodily orifice, including the skin, as the body has its own system to repair. By not working correctly, it will take on and welcome the mother cells as it is in the ideal media. So similar to being in the womb as the baby being formed. So it's kind of like a rebuilding. It will take on those new mother cells because it's literally an identical sort of copy.
Is there a lot more, Neil? Because I'm conscious we've just come up to an hour.
Just one page.
Okay. And can I ask, before you start, remind us of the source of this? This was a download from your spirit team or from your Star Nation family?
Yes, this was a download from Lactern, because I was pretty curious about what they were and how they worked as well.
Okay.
After seeing them on the moon. I saw them myself on the moon in these storage areas. So I was pretty curious as to what these were, how they worked, and what they were going to be used for. So, I kind of downloaded this through Lactern after the event. Like I said, this was probably some years ago now.
And just remind us who Lactern is, just in case there are people that haven't watched.
Yeah, Lactern is my contact from my home star nation.
Right.
He is an extraterrestrial from the Andromeda Galaxy, which is where my extraterrestrial family reside, in a huge ship at the moment. The planet's still under rehabilitation, which was attacked and
so uninhabitable at the moment.
Uninhabitable at the moment. So they're on the ship still out there. So Lactern is my contact, basically.
Right.
He's my contact for this incarnation here on Earth.
Okay.
So where was I? Additionally, these mother cells are exact replicas of its own. So there's no rejection. There's no antibody rejection at all. It's just like it's literally one of its own. In the case of a bad accident, say if you lose a limb or you have some kind of trauma, As long as the patient is stable enough to be placed inside one of these wet pods, the system can regrow limbs, repair internal organs, grow hair, etc., etc. The sky's the limit. You know,
Mm.
it can do pretty much everything and anything, as long as you're not in this like a state of trauma where you're bleeding out. You've got, you know, blood kind of loss or anything like that.
Okay.
Because in that case, you would probably have to go onto the dry bed first to have that repair done,
Right.
and then possibly put into a wet bed. Um,
Okay.
excuse me. And where am I? So uh, the total body renewal time is around 3 months, linear Earth time, sometimes more or less, dependent on the patient and dependent on the ship internal time, as it is relative.
Mm.
Um, so, with advanced computer tech, alterations to a being's original DNA is possible and artificially changed, although this is invasive and it's not really encouraged. Well, like Tim was saying, it's not really encouraged to change things like eh, hair color or eye color and things like
Right.
that. They
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
they
Like sort
kind of
of, yeah.
frown on it in that kind of
The
way.
sort of vanity type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But certainly they can regrow limbs if limbs has, been lost or something like that,
Mm.
and it regrows from the inside out,
Right.
in all directions, pretty much. So it doesn't grow from the actual stump. It will literally regrow the whole thing all at once.
Well, yeah. Does that
Um,
include teeth, Neil?
Includes teeth, yep, and tissue, uh, bone, yeah, everything.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Um, du-du-du-du. And then after the wet bed process, Lacton was saying that the patient obviously has to expel all of the liquid from the your lungs, your insides,
Hmm.
maybe if you've got a digestive system, all that kind of stuff. It all has to be removed. So there's a lot of coughing and vomiting, as you can imagine,
Right.
and there's a short time of sort of adjustment after coming out of these wet pods. But that's pretty much the full function of them, really. It's quite extraordinary, isn't it?
It
You know, the
sounds
technology,
sounds
what they can do.
wonderful.
But I think going into these things as well, though, you have to have a certain mindset as well and
Yes.
a certain frequency uh, to enable these things to work as well. You know, you
So
have to
no
be,
fear, no doubt,
yeah,
no, I don't like this idea or I'm
yeah,
scared.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah,
have to really be conscious of, the same vibration, presumably, as the bed,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the dry beds are good, but they're not as good as the wet
Mm,
beds with the
mm.
fluid. These are pretty much, 100%
Mm.
sort of accurate. So yeah, it's interesting.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for that. That's
Yeah, sorry
great.
about my
Yeah. No,
trying to
no,
reread
no,
my
not at
notes.
all. Not at all.
My writing's horrible.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but no, no, I think that's very valuable information. I mean, whether or not people are drawn to med beds if and when available,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
we don't know
yeah,
when they might be available.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and but I think it's valuable information for those people who are keen or interested in having or having access to that technology because it is
yeah, yeah,
available. And
yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
and I think it will be, like I say, it'll be a stepping stone type
yes,
of scenario.
yeah, I agree.
Um, it will be encouraged further on down the line
Yeah,
to understand what the human body is and how we can heal ourselves
absolutely.
without the need of,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, this is
using
what the
sort of,
galactics are saying, that the med beds are like training wheels. But it's also getting us
Absolutely.
used to that higher consciousness and the connection with the consciousness of the
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, it's almost like a way, I would say, of raising our awareness of what is possible, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 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 A lot of these technologies are possible and, will be coming this way and will be exchanged in this contact in some way.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's
beautiful. Yeah,
something to look forward to.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll help a lot of people, initially as well.
yes,
And there's, a lot of people
yes.
with ailments
Yeah.
and the cancers that we have and things
Well, I
like
was going
that
to say,
initially.
presumably all the so-called fatal diseases, they'll
Yeah,
all,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It'll give
dealt
people
with
an
easily.
opportunity to,
Yeah,
sort of re-establish their lives again,
yes,
without being ill in that way. If they choose to use them, they don't have to use them. There's no force involved in using these things. There's no
no,
coercion in in any shape or form. It'll be all on people's own volition, whether they choose to use them or.
of course. Yeah.
So,
Is there an element of reverse aging or reverse, if we're getting new cells, then does that rejuvenate the body? Presumably it does, doesn't it?
I would imagine so. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, like I say, when we start to use that larger proportion of our DNA that's been locked off,
Mm,
this they call it the 75%, which is junk DNA. It's not junk DNA at all. It's just been switched off or it's not been activated yet.
yeah,
But
or
once
being
a lot of
lost.
that comes online, yes, you're going to see the longevity of the human being extended because the mechanisms will be in place for that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh, so yeah, I think we will see humans living a lot longer lives.
Mm,
I mean, it was only what, maybe 150, 150, 180, 200 years ago that people were only living to about 40 anyway. The average age was only,
yeah, yeah.
about 40 years old. So, and here we are now, people are living to 100 plus.
Mm.
So,
And some say that in the time of Atlantis, it was almost at 900 years.
that's right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it
And lots
just
of beings out
shows
there are living
how,
hundreds of years before they
yeah,
make their transition.
yeah,
Once they've decided that they've learned and learn their lessons wherever they want to learn and achieve whatever they want to achieve, they can
yeah,
then move on to another incarnation after 7, 8, 900 years, whatever they
mm,
choose, and they can choose when to make that transition.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Neil. Thank you very, very much again for your wisdom and your wonderful information. I
Oh,
hope it's
thank you, Glenn,
been,
for inviting me on again.
yeah, you're very
Been,
welcome.
it's been
And
great speaking with you again and
yeah,
doing one of these videos. So
yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, to all of you watching and listening, I hope that this has been valuable. And look out for further podcasts. There are more to come. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. And without further ado, I'd like to thank Neil again. Thank you, Neil.
Well, thank you as well, Glenn. Thank you to everybody out there for watching. And if it's been of benefit to anybody, then all good.
Yeah,
All good.
absolutely.
But
And
it's up to the individual, whatever they want to sort of take on board or
of
believe,
course,
or
yeah,
it's not my job to
yeah, convince
convince
anyone.
anybody.
Yeah,
I'm just a presenter of information, and you
yeah.
can do with it whatever you will. And
Take it or leave it, as my
that's
friend
right. Yeah.
says. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. So it's a good reminder. Yeah. So, take what resonates and leave the rest.
Yeah.
And join us again next time.
Yeah.
Thanks very
Absolutely.
much for watching. And
Thank
thank you,
you.
Neil.
Thank you, Glenn.
Go well and speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.